Hi, I'm going to try to review the Jamstack on guitar amplifier. Just got it in the mail yesterday. Took a while to get here. They use USPS instead of UPS, so it took a while. I'll start with the pros. It's a very nice case. It comes in a nice case for carrying it around. Very professional, not cheap. The case itself is very solid and not cheap feeling at all. It's a beautiful, beautiful little piece of equipment, well designed it appears. When it's mounted on the guitar, it's very solid. It won't come off accidentally. The smartphone, when I put my smartphone into the smartphone carrier here, it can go landscape or, let's put it in there. It can go landscape or portrait mode, but you cannot rotate it. I cannot rotate it this way. In other words, it's kind of pointing right here. So I'm looking at it a little bit askance, not bad, I can still use it okay. But you know, when I'm playing, it's sitting way over there. So it's a little bit hard to see while I'm playing. And if I were to try to read, you know, lyrics or something like that while I'm playing, it would be difficult on two levels. One is the print is so small because it's a smartphone, not a tablet. And two, because it's not really facing me. There's a lot of stuff going on here, right? It feels a little, whoops, I don't have it plugged into my smartphone right now. It feels a little wobbly, not because it's not mounted to the guitar well, it's just a lot of stuff. Fortunately, while I'm playing, it's completely out of the way. You can't really see very well because my camera doesn't pan back enough, but it's completely out of the way. It doesn't get in my way playing at all. Interestingly, the volume knob for the Jamstack is where I can't see it. So I have to know where it is. There are 3 buttons back here as well, and 3 LED lights, indicator lights, that I can't see. In order to see them, I have to go like this, which is a little awkward, but then again, they're not really all that useful anyway. The software that they give you a QR code to, it's called, for the Android. If you're iOS, there's a whole bunch of software. Well, I would say, I don't know, 8 or something, 8 to 10 different softwares. Only a few of them are actually DSPs, digital signal processing softwares that you can use to do virtual pedals for reverb, delay, distortion, and so on. There's only one for the Android, and it's a subscription-based software. It's $18 for 6 months. I don't like that at all. I just want to download a $3, $4 Android app and have that be my thing, but that's the only option I have since I'm Android and not iOS. I don't know anything about the iOS options. The software, after I download it, it's free to download, and then it's in-app purchases to unlock most of the effects that it contains. But there are a few that I can play around with without subscribing. They're not very good. The sound is very dull and flat to me. There doesn't seem to be any way to make it better. There's very little presence, and some of the amplifiers have presence knobs on them. It makes them a little bit more trebly, but it doesn't really make them more present. I would say that for the size of this little tiny amplifier, it has a really big sound, or it can if you turn up the software to full blast, but it never really sounds good. It's interestingly, when I made this video and played it back, it sounds fine through the video, but in the room it doesn't sound very good. It's also not very loud. I had hoped to play along with my stand-up bass friend and an acoustic guitar and a cajon, and I don't think it could ever compete. I don't think we'll ever stand out above them at all. Of course, you have to keep in mind that both your smartphone and the amp must be fully charged when you're going to use it. The bass response is obviously pretty poor because the speakers are so small. I found out that the rechargeable battery is welded in. If the rechargeable battery no longer takes a charge after so many uses, they all do, you will have to send this back to the factory to install a new battery, or take it to a shop if that battery is still available when that happens. When I put this in my guitar stand, with the amp mounted, the amp goes so far below the guitar that it hits the ground before the guitar hits the guitar stand. No big deal. The guitar still stays in the stand. It's just a little wobbly, but the whole assembly is resting on the amp, of course. There's some latency. You probably can't tell, but there's probably about 200 milliseconds of latency between the time I hit the string and the time it comes out of the amp, probably all in the smartphone. Fair enough, it takes time to do some of that processing, but a real pedal wouldn't do that. And my Pod HD, Line 6 Pod HD 500 doesn't do that. Because the amp is acoustically coupled to the guitar, it's as if you took your guitar and laid it on your amp without turning the volume down. It will feed back. So I can use the software, I can use these virtual pedals on the smartphone to crank up the volume to fill the room a little bit better. Look what happens. It just immediately starts feeding back. Pretty nice sustain, but the problem is that the amplifier is vibrating the guitar, which vibrates the strings, which makes the amplifier sound greater, so we have a positive feedback loop, and that's what happens. So when I'm playing, I have to really damp the strings that I'm not playing, or I get all this feedback. Even with the strings damped, you can hear what's going on, I think. And that's not very loud. I mean, hopefully you can hear how loud that is compared to my voice. It is not very loud. There's not a lot of volume on this amp. What you're hearing is better than what I'm hearing. When I listen to the videos that I've seen of Jamstack and this video, when I played it back, the sound sounds pretty good. But here in the room, it really doesn't sound very good. It's very muffled and dim and dull. I think one of the dreams that they had when they made this thing was that your phone, which is a very powerful processor, could conceivably be like a Helix or an HD 500 and have hundreds of virtual pedals with all kinds of configurations so that you can get all kinds of really cool pedal combinations so that you can sound exactly like Boston or Led Zeppelin or whatever guitar sounds you want. We're not there yet. There aren't that many pedals available yet. It's not like a Helix or an HD 500 yet. The idea seems sound if they could figure out this latency problem, but this is a kind of a 0.2 release for this technology, and I think we have a ways to go. When you download the software, which I said is for free, there's a couple of amps, there's one distortion pedal out of probably 6 of them that you can that are free, that you don't have to subscribe to use, but they're very poor. They don't do much, and the sound that they make is not very good, in my opinion. Documentation doesn't tell you anything about that. You have to wait till you get it and try to download the software and use it before you kind of run into that roadblock. If you're very happy to lay down your $18 right away, whether or not you want to keep the Jamstack, then no problem. But even then, of course, I don't know, since I haven't done that, whether the software is going to be good or not. On balance, I would say it's a cool, very cool idea. It needs, I'm going to probably send mine back. I think it needs a little more maturity, a little more development, and some more Android apps to support it. Thanks.